Today, on this feast of the Epiphany, we celebrate the manifestation of Christ to all the nations of the world. On this day, Jesus, the Jewish Messiah, was manifested to the Gentiles, the non-Jews, to us. And on this day, St. Paul tells us the great mystery that had been hidden for ages was revealed, namely, that we have become co-partners with Israel in the promises of God. But maybe this all strikes you as strange and as of little importance. Maybe you are asking, what does all of this have to do with me today? We are so very used to being Christian that we easily forget the grace that God has given us in Jesus Christ. We can easily forget that there was a time when we did not belong to the people of God. We can easily forget that there was a time when we did not know Christ. We can easily forget that there was a time when we did not share in the wonderful promises of God. There was a time when we were not God's people. But then, in an act of divine grace, the light of Christ shone upon us. In an act of extraordinary grace, God called us to be his people. In an act of loving grace, God made us co-partners with the chosen people of Israel. The wise men who had traveled from the east came to adore the Christ child. They represent us today. Guided by the light of a star, they saw the true light of the world, who is Christ. And they understood that God had now entered the world in a new way. On that day, they understood that God was extending his promises to Israel, to all the peoples of the world. For in this child, God was doing something new. God was breaking down the barriers that once separated Jew from Gentile. In this child, God was making one people. God was doing something new. God was making us whole once more. But it's very easy to wander from the light. It's very easy to wander from God's plan that we are meant to be one people, no matter our race, no matter our nationality, no matter our origin. And so we wander from God's plan when we set up barriers to divide ourselves from each other. We wander from God's plan when we divide the world between them and us. We wander from God's plan when we separate ourselves from each other rather than see the glory of God in each other. We wander from God's plan whenever we build walls intended to separate us from each other and ultimately from God. And so this beautiful feast of the Epiphany is calling us back to the plan of God in Christ. It reminds us that we are indeed one in Christ. It summons us to break down every barrier of prejudice and hatred that would separate us from each other and ultimately from God. Herod did not understand this. The Herods of the world never understand God's plan. But we do, because on this day, Christ was revealed to us. On this day, we were called to be one. May this feast of the Epiphany provide us with the insight and the courage to live in a new way this coming year, in a way that sets aside every prejudice and fear of others, in a way that makes us one in Christ who is the true light of the world.